Welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast. And we just had, at least in my opinion, best episode of the season.
It had a lot of great moments. I thought it was really good too. Um, yeah, let's just start from like one of the biggest things that happened. One of the biggest plot twists that,
My mind was blown.
Jesse had the idol. Um, like Dwight gave him the idol in a not deleted scene because it paid off later, but it wasn't in last week's episode.
Mhm.
And then Jesse has the idol. No one knows about that except for him. And yeah, um, that's also a very cold move because not only did he get the idol, he sent Dwight out that, knowing that Dwight trusted him. And it looks like this Survivor marriage ended very, very poorly.
Very bad. Yeah, the
Jesse got
divorce
custody
was
of
finalized.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jesse got custody of the idol at the end.
yeah, and
Um,
now Jesse has basically control of two idols. Like, sure, he doesn't have control of Cody's idol, but like he's knows about it. They're gonna probably be working together for at least most of this game. I think they are a very tight duo right now. I just don't see them flipping on each other at least till near the end of the game.
I feel like this. I feel like that was part of a big theme this episode. Is like, is now the right time to flip? Because like this is where we established the seven. And good God, do none of these people watch The Boys? Because the seven, while it's the big superhero group in The Boys, it's corrupt as all hell. So
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
you don't want to call your lions the seven based off of that.
I feel like a modern day season of Survivor, it's so rare to see the merge like grouping of people like who come together for the merge boots kind of like stick together for the next vote. It's actually very crazy to see that happen.
Yeah. I mean, and even then, by the end of it, I feel like some people were like, oh, we can't really change the numbers, so we're just going to hop on board anyway,
Yeah.
which is what we saw. But like, I feel like, yeah, the biggest like thing this episode or theme, because there's a lot of big things that happen, and we'll get to those in a bit. But like, the biggest thing is like, all right, where do we go with this game? Do we want to do a seven? And then Sammy's like, I really think I should make a big move because I don't want to be on the bottom and
That's a
everything.
great Sammy impression, by the way. I think you got his
Thank you.
mannerism.
His speech pattern is pretty fun to, I don't want to say fun to mimic, but like it's kind of like memorable. Like I said, it reminds me a little bit of Channing Tatum. But there you go, Sammy. If you watch this, take that compliment for
Yep.
what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
I will
but
say I thought it was a good episode for Sammy. I'll just outright say I think we at least saw a little more of a winner's edit from him than we've been getting.
I feel like with him, we have been seeing a bit more. I feel like definitely not this episode. I feel like this episode set a lot of for next episode.
Mhm.
Um, because like I feel we didn't get that payoff because Janine ended up going home anyway. But I feel like this one really set him up to be the one to, end the seven, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
he's probably like, okay, this is done. Like it was too hard to flip so many people over onto Ryan. Which
they just needed they just needed one more.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that is one more they needed. And they went for Carla. Carla, she's holding her guns. She's like, I don't think this is the right time. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, they had the numbers. Like even Carla and James, they were all on board to do Ryan, and then just like 15 minutes before tribal, they were like, "Hey, wait a second.
yeah,
Is this is this a good move for us?"
no, it's not. And it takes good like social awareness because like doing a big move for the sake of a big move, it's like can be a bit dangerous because you get rid of Ryan, and we'll talk about Ryan a bit in a sec. But like I think James put it back. It was like James is a number, or James was like Ryan's a number for me. He's on my side. It doesn't really make sense to get rid of him. Um, and yes, he's proven himself to be, I don't want to say a challenge beast, but like someone who has been adequate and adequate in challenges. The real like challenge beast that people need to like keep an eye on out is Cody because he came in second place in
Yeah.
two individuals in a row.
Yeah, and next week is going to be the two people winning elimination, so splitting up the group. Like, I think there's a very good chance Cody wins, meaning next week. Um,
Yeah.
so
Um,
if Cody and Ryan are on different tribals that end up going, that could very much see the two of them winning this next immunity there.
yeah. Or if we can't count out Gabler, man.
Gabler.
Um, yeah, and then I mean also Owen won one this
Yeah.
episode. So, can't count on anyone just yet. Wait, didn't Owen and Gabler, yeah, they were on the team
Yeah, yeah.
last episode. So like we can't count out Owen either. And then we haven't seen the others shine quite just yet, but we'll see. Um yeah, I feel like this episode it showed people within like the seven and stuff wanting to do a more, I don't want to say interesting game, but wanted to shake things up and
Mhm.
also not want to fall into certain patterns because Cassidy and Clara or Carla, I don't know why I keep saying Clara. Cassidy and Carla both were like, "Hey, I want to see another, woman go because like let's do the count now because let's
we,
see.
we don't need to count. There's three girls.
There's three. Yeah.
Three
I
girls,
just
seven
wanted to
guys.
double check. There is three women left.
Yeah.
Um n- Not that it's like, you know, means it's a bad season. It's not intentional. It's just like, well, first off, Janine's just the unluckiest survivor contestant.
Right. Like her last 4 days from day 13 to day 16 have been like the worst days of Survivor like
She
ever.
lost she lost her. I feel it's like that Ant-Man meme where it's like Louise filling in Scott about everything that's happened. It was like, yeah, lost my number one, also lost my idol, and then I got voted out. But I made the jury. And then Jeff is like, nice.
That's good for you.
But like gosh, like every week in a row, like it was something. And like other than getting, one would argue that getting voted out was probably mercy because good gosh.
Yeah, it's not like our Brand Steel where bad things kept happening to her and they everyone was trying to drag her to the end.
Yeah, it was no. I feel bad because like she was getting a really big underdog at it.
Huh.
And like,
Yeah, she if the season ended right now, she would be number 3 on confessionals,
oh,
which
oh
is
yeah.
pretty good considering that
Yeah.
she was like pretty quiet for a good chunk of the season and then just like hit on with like a bunch of content.
I think that's also because just so many bad things started happening to her. Because obviously, like like a good friend, you want to check in on the guy, on the person that's going through a lot. Hey, your number one just got eliminated. You okay? You lost your idol. You okay?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it's unfortunate for Janine obviously to go out here. I've heard that this tribal council, from some people have been calling it like the poker equivalent of a check. Like they're not really, they don't want to make any big move for all these other players in the game, so they're just like, let's just do the safe one, let's just check, let's just get rid of Janine, and then we'll wait to see what the next move is and then actually play moving forward.
yeah, I think it's kind of like I was talking about this last week, where it's like you don't want to make a too big of a move too early in the merge because
Mhm.
like then you just lose faith in the rest of your alliance. Now,
Yeah.
granted, the alliance of the seven wasn't formed and officially formed until this episode, so it wasn't necessarily like I guess nothing was necessarily set in stone. There was like an assumption that the old Vessi and the old Baka were going to work together.
Mhm.
That just didn't end up being the case because they were like, "No, nah,
Yeah.
let's get rid of Dwight."
Yeah, yeah. Coco
Um,
ends up actually being in the best position out of all the tribes.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like next episode is where, because people are going to be separated. This is also
Mhm.
when advantages are the most valuable as
Yeah.
well. We saw in the preview that Noelle is like, I'm using my advantage.
Yeah.
Saying that to Clara. Now, Carla,
Carla. I
how am I?
don't know. I don't know. It's not like she's not visible on the season. She is one of the most visible players.
I don't know why. I don't even know a Clara in my personal life, so I don't have that excuse. I even have an uncle named Carl and a step grandfather or grandfather. So like I don't know why I'm not making the connection in my brain to say Carla, since that's like the female equivalent to Carl.
Mhm.
Anywho, that aside. Um, so I'm wondering, because why would she openly say that if it wasn't for if James is on that tribe, that's just a stupid statement to say. And I don't think Noelle is stupid enough to say that.
Yeah.
Um, or it's pre what's it face? It's pre-challenge, and she's mentioning that because to get, some sort of advantage moving forward, or like to get some momentum on like taking control of the game, because right now, or I would say even since that I would say since the beginning of this game, she hasn't really found a way to be in the numbers. She
Mhm.
kind of did at 13 at Mergatory, but that was very, very short lived, and that's still where lines were being defined.
Yeah, I think that there's still a lot of people who know they don't want to go super deep with Noelle. So I think that's why they're kind of putting her on the outs here, but not like targeting her right now because they don't want to
Yeah,
just get rid of her right now. But like I don't I think no one really wants to get for like final six or onwards with Noelle.
yeah. Um, well, we'll see. It may happen. We never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it is five splits, that means that she could steal someone else, and all she needs then is to get one person on with her, and she controls the vote next episode of her tribal council.
Yeah, she would have to. She would also have to make sure she targets the right person,
Mhm.
and that person doesn't play an idol,
Mhm.
um, or for them, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
or James doesn't use his knowledge as power on Noelle, because
yeah,
if that does happen, also that will just instantly probably send her home.
don't think they are just based on the edit of the next episode, unless it was something prior. But I
Yeah,
don't think it's going to happen just purely because of like it doesn't make sense to say you're going to use it prior to any kind of like tribal thing,
yeah,
and then with everyone knowing everyone's advantage except for like Jesse's stolen, or I wouldn't say stolen, it was given to him
yeah,
just without the original owner's knowledge or consent.
yeah.
um or the Baka idol that
Mhm.
Jesse has. Everyone knows where kind of like all the advantages are. Maybe not unbeknownst to like James, maybe he has an inkling of like where things are,
Uh,
but yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
honestly surprised James wasn't targeted this episode.
Same. I felt like James is in danger and still in danger. If we saw from the preview, he's getting the Godfather edit, which in recent Survivor is a death sentence usually. If you get the Godfather mark, you're either going home like that episode or next episode. Like your game is not that long.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's getting it makes me kind of think that he's either going home in this next double tribal, or he uses his knowledge and power correctly, saves himself at least for this episode, and then goes home one episode after that.
He's a smart lad. Arrogant. I don't think he's arrogant, but he is a smart cookie. Um, but that being said, sometimes if like things are just against you, there's not really too much you can do about it other than, your social game, whatnot. Even barter his advantage, though I don't know how much bartering advantages never tends to work out in this game.
Yeah. People like to just be able to take it and then vote you out because it's a
Or
funny
just get
haha.
rid of it altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think James is definitely in trouble. I still think Ryan's in trouble if he doesn't win immunity. Like, even though he doesn't go home here, his name's come up a bunch. He's clearly a big physical threat. He's not very strategic, so he very easy to blindside him. I think he literally went off to just go fish for the
Yeah,
last 3 hours of
I
that day.
don't now with him, I don't necessarily think that was a bad idea
Mhm.
because it shows he isn't a social or what is it or strategic threat. And honestly, something like that, where if you have Ryan's body and let's say James' mind and in Carla's social skills, that is a dangerous, combination.
Mhm.
But because Ryan is very much like, all right, basically, um, I don't want to say meathead because I feel like there's a negative connotation with that. But like basically, if everyone sees me as a physical guy, I'm just going to play that up, and they're not going to see me as like a strategic threat or social threat.
Yeah, but when was the last time a purely physical player has won the game of Survivor? Um, it definitely
Well, I mean,
uh
there's always some strategy behind there because even if we look at Mike Holloway, he did have strategy and he did have social skills.
yeah,
Granted,
well
like
I,
he
I'd
messed up a little
say
bit.
Mike Holloway was more of a I have to now play a physical game more so than what Ryan is right now. Right now, Ryan is just like I'm playing a physical game. I don't care.
Yeah,
Whereas Mike Holloway like had a bad auction and then was like, okay, if you don't win immunity now, you go home. And so he had to at that point. Whereas yeah,
yeah.
Ryan is just like uh he has neglected the social aspect, which is the most important part, the strategic element, which is now like the second most important part of Survivor.
But I guess like what yeah, I guess like Mike is kind of like the if you strip away like the context of it, the last like physical threat to have made it.
Yeah.
Like where physical is their predominant. Tony, obviously, he was like the trifecta, like he was the triple threat. I would even say quadruple threat because like the advantages he got stuff and was able to use to his advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, with Ryan, I mean, going fishing and stuff because I think it was smart for him in that moment. Usually, it is a bad move.
Yeah.
And I would even argue, like, if you even said, like, because I did look at your on the what is it?
The
For those who
community.
don't know, we have our community like little questionnaires and stuff. I did see that Ryan was on there as like LVP, and I
Mhm.
was like still thinking about it because I feel like if he got voted out and still did the fishing thing, an argument. I still feel like one could say he was the LVP this episode.
Yeah.
I don't feel. I honestly don't think my LVP vote goes to someone else, but not for what you think. And even then, I think it's a bit of a stretch.
Um,
I wouldn't say what he did was bad gameplay because, in the sense, like it worked out for him in the end.
Yeah, I think what it is that it was such a long time of fishing. It is
Yeah,
3 hours like that. You know how much happens in 3 hours in that Survivor? Like you can be in the safest spot and still be in trouble. Like the fact that you're just opting into like being at risk like that,
yeah,
I think is just not a like it's clearly shown that he doesn't even trust his own social acumen here to try to do something here. He's just like, I know I can't do this. I'm just gonna go fish. That's all I can do in this game now.
yeah. Which I think, if that is, because obviously we're not doing in-depth interviews with the band
Mhm.
prior to this. Um, Honestly, it's like I feel like that's why it was kind of the best thing for him because like yeah, he's just ended up going with the numbers last time and this time. And like, if he has the 7 and he felt comfortable, do I think it was still a smart decision or I would do the same thing if I had his skill set slash position? No. But it wasn't like it didn't necessarily hurt his game in the sense where he went home. Could it do it later, or do I think if he does it again, maybe I would be like, dude, especially next time where it's a 1 in 5, 1 in 4 chance of you going home. Then no.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like right now Ryan is who I would consider like the worst like actual game player on the season, like without a doubt. Like
yeah,
Gabler, I think has more gameplay like chops than
people
Ryan.
actually listen to Gabler, so like
Yeah, yeah. Well,
there is some.
he got the Ellie vote. Like Ryan has yet to like actually be the reason for like getting a vote to work.
Yeah,
He has been lucky that he's connected to James and Carla, who are currently in the driver's seat. Like that is the only reason he is still in this game.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, if it seems like I'm going up to bat for him a lot,
Yeah.
it's not that I am. It's just more so of like I am giving some credit towards him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty much getting like 21 fish. That's almost 2 fish per person, just one shy short of that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I feel he's doing the best he can out there, and sometimes I don't want to say doing the bad thing or doing a bad move sometimes is a good thing,
Mhm.
but he's doing the best he can. And then, if you really don't know until the last 15 minutes who you're going to vote on, and he knows he doesn't really have any pull, why fight it?
Mhm.
Not saying that he does it, but he's definitely, as we said, not in the driver's seat. So I think, it didn't hurt him in the end. It could have. It definitely could have.
Mhm.
And we were almost led to believe that it would have been the case, just
Yeah.
purely on the fact of like no one who's ever like gone fishing or like there's one thing of not participating actively in the talk. It's a totally different thing when you remove yourself completely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, him removing himself completely really does give leeway to, I think, the it to start the fire of let's vote out Ryan. Like
Yeah.
he's the only one that's not there for some of these conversations. So eventually you just say Ryan and then it's like it seems like it starts to stick and it's like, oh, okay, maybe we do this. Uh and yet again, it's really just because Carl and James are or not willing to lose another Coco member here. I think
Yeah.
that really saves him. And next episode, we're getting the double. That is the episode that really turned people against Jonathan from 42, and that's because it forces you to have to play in that rounds. Like you
Yeah.
can't go out and fish and when there's only 5 people doing it.
No. No. Especially if especially I feel like this time around where there are so many advantages that are kind of like in play. One of them being a steal, one of them being a vote, the other being a knowledge is power. It's like you gotta have to be here for this.
Yeah. You have to be there for as many conversations because it is you just need to get two other people with you, and you have uh the numbers. So yeah, definitely can't afford someone to just like say, I'm voting this person, 3 hours of fishing.
Yeah. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't think he'll do that. And if he does, I will eat the crow.
He
But I
has
doubt it.
definitely every episode he's like been relevant. It has not
Yeah.
been a good look.
Uh, Speaking of good looks, I don't know. I feel like this was a lot of like Owen's episode. I am happy, obviously, because like out of everyone who's left, I feel like he's the person with the best winter stock, at least that I chose.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I kind of have a bit of a tier system right now for who I think are like the winner candidates. Um,
Everyone on your side is, I'd say, top tier.
Pretty much, I think Jesse and Carla are the clear like front runners right now in terms of edit, in terms of like story that they could have for
Yeah,
their win. And then I think like the tier below them is like the bit of a dark horse, like they could do it, but it's not super possible, which is like the Cody, Sammy, and I would even throw Owen into this category as
yeah.
well.
I'd
I would
say
say
what gives him something is he's a bit of an underdog right now.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I would have them. And then there's like another tier kind of lower than that, which is like it's possible, but like I don't really see it, which is like Cassidy. Maybe you could throw James in there as well. Um,
I feel James is higher than Cassidy, though. I feel like James,
I
in
would
his
I don't
playing,
think James is in the same category as Owen on up, but I
no,
don't
I
think
feel like
he's. But I
no,
yeah, I understand he's probably higher than Cassidy, but like I also kind of think he's going home pretty soon. I think Cassidy's probably going to survive the game longer than him.
yeah.
So
I
uh
feel like the thing with James, and this is another moment we have to talk about, was, at the beginning of the immunity challenge, he's like, Jeff, and Jeff was like, I'm done with like bargaining with you guys. He
yeah.
was like, nah, fam, I'm not doing four. You didn't even ask. You just assume I would bend that way.
Yeah.
No, it's five. It's going to be worse next time. I am at, he wasn't outright sassy,
Yeah.
but the undertones of sass that was underneath that, I give Jeff credit for.
Yeah.
Um,
In a
but
few
what
seasons, it's going to be like everyone but one person. You got to choose who wins immunity right now.
I think that's too much. That's too much. But I will say that led to another savage moment. And one thing that makes me think that James isn't going to win, it made for an interesting moment. But the audacity James had to be like, oh, and you're safe, man. The audacity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's gonna be he pissed off a few people right there.
Yeah. Like I I would have given him a look like something like that where I'm like, dude,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Owen is going to have no interest in working with James for the rest of this game.
no.
So James's best interest right now would to be to get rid of Owen because Owen now clearly is going to be gunning for him.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
if they end up on the same like tribe for this double elimination, like look for that to probably be the storyline to follow.
yeah. I feel like Owen's really in an uphill battle. He doesn't have an advantage at all. Could he align himself with people that do? Maybe. He basically was just following the votes this time around. The only person that voted with Janine was Cassidy, but Cassidy already has her reasons for trying to get Ryan out.
Mhm.
Um, but like even then, that was like a vote that didn't necessarily matter. We'll see. Well, we'll see how that plays off later, but like if it pays off. But like, Owen, he really doesn't have too much. There's like the bottom alliance, which
Mhm.
is basically him, Noel. and that's kind of it. Maybe Gabler, but at the same time, no one's really. Gabler's kind of a swing in a sense.
Yeah, Gabler's also just wherever, as long as it's not him. You know what? He's the modern day Sandra. I'm calling it right now. 2-time winner Gabler. Here
But
we
he
come.
already won a challenge though, so we can't necessarily say that. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I feel like Gabler, he still has a lot of gameplay left.
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't count him out. I don't know. I feel like because like this is technically in a sense a halfway point. If we want to, and we have been talking about winter stocks, stuff like that.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like Gabler, he can definitely make it to the end,
Yeah.
whether it's a goat or whether it's. I feel like he does have some merit where he can be like, "Hey, I'm also an old guy that's made it this far," and then also like his one challenge win, and when he was shouting out people, it is like a warm, touchy feely kind of thing. So he can turn on that charm, and
Mhm.
maybe that might get some votes his way at Final Tribal if he's to make it there. I'm not saying Gabler's winning this season,
Yeah.
but I am saying like, all right, he has something to, he has something to bring at the end.
Yeah, his ceiling is definitely third place, 0 votes. I think. I think that's his.
He may get one. I feel it. He may get one.
He may get one. Okay, well, I don't even think that. I think he is. I think he's either in trouble probably like next episode, or he's going to be in the final three.
I don't think he's going next episode. I feel like he's not the biggest fish to go. I do feel like I know we were talking about Jesse and Carla.
I mean, if you're talking about biggest fish, we
We're
can go back. We
talking.
can go back to Ryan and his fishing because I still think he's in trouble. He's in
He's
trouble.
definitely in trouble. I don't think he's guaranteed safety, but we see
Yeah.
time and time again at this like tribe split. Even if they're not the biggest fish, they still try and get out at least one of the tribal councils a bit, one of the bigger contestants.
Yeah.
Or at least a big enough move, like with the Roxroy vote last time, where they're like, okay, we're going to make this kind of a big move because, yeah, he's not like the one in charge of everything, but he
Mhm.
is someone within the majority alliance that has some like pull.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
see the ripple effect it had on the next tribal council, which not gameplay related in a sense, but like in the sense of like like there's always like something big that kind of happens as a result. And if we looked at past seasons where they have done that, like with 41, 42, we will like with 41 or even 39, we lost like some big characters within that. 41, we lost both Ellie and we lost Nasir. Um, both of them,
Yeah. You mean Evie, right? I think you said Ellie.
my bad,
Mhm.
my bad, Evie. Um, similar sounding names.
You got Ellie, Evie. You got Carla,
And Clara, who's not
Clara.
even a contestant anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
a
I
dummy.
don't think has there been a Survivor contestant that's been called Clara? Was there ever
There's
one?
probably a Claire somewhere. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but I guess subconsciously.
Oh.
Um, we'll see. Anywho, um, and then even 39, both Missy and the one guy with the kid on his socks,
Mhm.
Aaron. Was it Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron Meredith.
Yeah, yeah. With the kid on his socks. Both of them went out at that kind of like thing. So like, and they were pretty predominant people on that season too,
Yeah.
at least up until that point. So like, it is something where it's like, it's a very significant part too, and they do tend to go after bigger players there, at least in one of them.
Yeah.
So who's to say what's going to happen this time around and which one? Do we lose a Jesse or a Carla, um, or even a Sammy?
See,
I
I
can
think
see.
I think we're more likely to see them target someone who they think they're going to easily get the flips onto, which makes me think that's why we're probably going to see Ryan in trouble here. A lot of times in those double boosts, also, obviously it's very like it's just coincidental sometimes, but like a lot of times it's like people who have some kind of connection to each other on the season end up going home with each other on this back to back. I wonder if like a Ryan James kind of like duo elimination almost in the sense of them both going home if that would make sense.
Thing is, well, I'm not saying that Ryan won't go home next. I can very much see it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, out of like, let's say the seven, because I don't even think Sammy is on the bottom. Clearly, he's not because like
No.
he wasn't the name that was being thrown out
Yeah, I think
at all.
Sammy's in a good position right now.
Yeah, honestly, I think he's in the best, barring the fact that if Carla's like, hey, Sammy tried to flip on us, so let's flip on him first.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, which I can see Carla do,
Mm-hmm.
just because it makes sense, especially on the same, and any reason to get rid of someone could be a good reason or
Mm-hmm.
the reason to get rid of someone. Um, Damn, I think I lost my point with explaining that and giving you merit. Um, backtrack. Of who to get rid of in this 5-5. I feel like Ryan isn't the biggest threat to get out of like this 5-5. I can still see him go home. I'd say it's like still like 30% chance that he does if he
Yeah.
doesn't win immunity. But I feel like one of the bigger ones that basically the people on your team,
Yeah. As
one
long
of
as it's
those
someone from, I will say you are currently beating me in the point system. Even though I have like all of the potential winners, you are definitely currently beating me in the point system.
yes. But I feel like honestly, I can see Cody go at this point.
I
I could
I
see,
I I I do not see Cody going at all.
well, I mean, like if it's to hurt Jesse, I feel like no, I feel like next episode we are gonna lose someone very, very big. I can see a Cody. I can see a Jesse. Carla, not so much because I think she's playing a really good game.
Mhm.
James, I think, is another big contender, but like I feel like James has been kind of like on the forefront of like, he might go out at this point for so long. But if I think we're losing like a really, really big fish. I don't think I
Yeah,
feel like
I
James on
I,
the
I
same level of Ryan where it's like 30%.
yeah, I'm going off of where he since he's getting the Godfather moniker, which only
Yeah.
happens to people who are about to go home. I that's why I'm giving it to him right now as like a most likely. I don't think Jesse, I don't think anyone out there thinks Jesse's playing a great game right now. Now that's just because I think he's doing it in the shadows so much, and he's got Cody to be like the face. Right now, Carla and Jesse are in such a good position because they're controlling things from the shadows while they each have a big figurehead to basically be their shields. So
True.
Carla's got James and Jesse's got Cody, and they're going. I think that either of them, whoever's shield goes home first, I think that person's actually in a lot of trouble. But whoever
Yeah.
can keep their shield around just a little long enough, I think is primed to potentially win this game.
I think you're very much right. I guess it's like because I know how we read into a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we're watching it from like home and drinking silk nog or water or
What
having
did you say? Silknog?
silk nog. I love eggnog, but eggnog is too unhealthy for the amount I drink. So I have to do alternative nog. So like I've had oat nog, that almond nog. Silk nog I feel is the best because it's closest to it without, tasting too different.
Uh,
Um Anywho, I digress. What do you this is a common thing. What do you usually snack on Survivor? Or what are
um,
some of your fun things that you like to eat or drink?
Well, I'm usually eating dinner when I watch Survivor, so it varies each time.
I also like chili mangoes or like those dried mangoes with like chili powder on it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, usually because you watch it a bit early. You watch it earlier. You watch it on East Coast time. I watch it on like like 8 o'clock. Usually I have
Um,
dinner around 6. This is fun facts for you guys. So I already had dinner, so maybe it's like a little snack, or like if I'm busy Wednesday, I might be eating my oatmeal with it because I
mhm.
watch in the morning if I'm busy Wednesday night, which I have been for the past couple ones, except for last night.
Oh,
I'm
there it
sorry.
is.
Anywho, but I don't know. Like I feel like it's easier for us to like analyze here, but when we're out there, it's a lot more challenging because like I besides that, I don't know how deep into these analysis that actual contestants go on. I do think they
Mhm.
go a lot deep into it.
Yeah.
However, to the level we do, where we have all this free time, and we have the calmness of not having any stock. We're
We're
not
not
going to lose
personally,
$1 million.
yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's a bit different to think about like, okay, this, but also this. And what's best for the majority. But like we're also thinking of like, oh, what would be like something crazy to happen? And while I do think
Mhm.
of that, I think this season they've proven to go the easier routes. So like
Yeah.
I still feel like I don't know. There's something about next episode where I think something crazy is going to happen, or we're going to lose a favorite.
I think
Or
I think both teams that go are going to want to turn on the seven.
yeah,
I think both ones. I don't think it's going to be like similar to 40 was 42 where it was like Roxroy, like that was the big flip, and then the other one was just kind of like a circumstance or whatever. I think it's really going to be like both of them are going in there,
yeah.
who the people who if you were one of the seven, you're in trouble.
Well, yeah, because like especially because if it divides evenly, let's say it's 4-3,
Hmm.
because the only other option is 5-2. But let's say it's 4-3. Um, Technically, you have the majority on both sides. However, let's say the four that end of the seven that end up on the one tribe, and let's say that Owen wins again. And so, like, oh, these four have to like go after each other.
Hmm.
Or let's say, on this four, Noelle with her steal a vote happens, and then she just has to target one of the people that feel insecure about this. Let's say
Yeah.
Ryan's on here, and Noelle and Ryan, or Noelle goes up to Ryan and is like, "Hey, yeah, your name's been mentioned a lot. We should probably team up. I have something that can turn something into our favor. I don't think it's going to happen because obviously she tells Carla about this, but
Hmm.
we'll see. We'll see. I feel like it is playable. We're definitely going to lose one of the seven.
Yeah.
Will we lose two of the seven? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that we'll lose two seventh of the seven. I think there's still a chance that like an advantage or something gets played that saves one of them and still sends home one of the not seven. Now, how crazy would it be though if five of the seven end up going to tribal council together? They
I
have
think
no.
it's a big possibility because the only combinations we have is either a 3-4 split, or a 5-2 split with the numbers of like the majority alliance and not, because there's no other way that can like shape out. It's either going to be 4 people or 5 people being the most on one side. So, you know, odds are someone from the seven is going home. What we get to is up for debate, but I am interested to see what happens, especially because aside from everything that happened with the Tory elimination last time,
uh,
the person that goes second, it does kind of influence in a sense of like, okay, this is kind of like what's happening on that tribe. Do I make a move? Am I in danger? Et
mhm.
cetera, et cetera. because then you see who's sitting on the jury right immediately after that happens. And if it's a blind side, you're like, oh, am I really safe?
Mhm.
And that might switch who you may vote for.
Especially if it's like one of your close allies that is now suddenly not in the game, even though you thought, oh, I thought we were all in a good spots.
Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure on that first tribal council because, like, I wouldn't say pressure.
It
It's
sets the tone.
it sets the tone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, awesome. So let's see. We haven't talked too much about the challenge. We can give a few minutes here about the challenge.
Yeah.
What did you think of it? I'm trying to think. I don't think we've seen this challenge before.
We've seen similar things, obviously the
Yeah.
balancing. We've never seen it with a volleyball.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was definitely at least a different something. I like it when they try different somethings in some regard, because sometimes
Yeah.
these challenges can just become very bland and just like, okay, I don't care. But at least if there's something new, it's like, okay, let's see what this new thing's about.
I like it in the sense of, like, it is something that you very much can do at home.
Yeah.
Um Also, it's kind of like a twist on, like, what we've seen in the past, because obviously we've seen, like, them balancing something and add something there.
Uh-huh.
And there was even this, like, little added layer of, like, the 30-second window.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get your opinion on something. Even though it doesn't net him the win, Ryan, I feel like what he did was cheating in the challenge. Because they
I
basically said you cannot use your hands to touch anything above it, but instead he used his head as the resting spot there. Now, obviously, we did see him lose, so
Yeah,
there's some like, well, it didn't work, but it's like, it did for a while. Like, it definitely gave him. I think some of those ones were just like freebies if he didn't really have to do anything.
you're not alone in thinking that.
Yeah,
For me, I'm like, one of the things that's like, well, it's not necessarily cheating, is because Jeff would have called him out.
yeah. Well, Jeff even said like, he thought he had a strategy, but I I
Yeah,
I feel like it was one of those things where they said specifically hands, but they just didn't. It was just like they didn't think that that was even an option, and then when it started happening, they were like, well, now we can't say no because he's doing it.
yeah. I mean, like, so I think it wasn't necessarily cheating. Could he have hacked it or found a loophole? Yeah. Um, but he didn't break the rules, and Jeff didn't say anything about it other than the fact, like, oh, okay, it was like his kind of like strategy. Maybe
Mhm.
next time they do that challenge, they'll add, like, hey, yeah, you can't use your forehead or anything like that to help
Yeah,
steady it.
yeah. No touching of the part that you're not allowed to touch.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments where, like, something where it was like, okay, he didn't use his hands, but it was like still underneath to help balance, was Cody was trying to like rest it on his belt a little bit or his thigh.
Mhm.
And I mean, like, but that was below his hand, so like kind of fair game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
Um,
that's all still like down here, like keeping it from
yeah,
like that, but
but I feel like, while I can see some people see it as like cheating or whatnot, I feel like they would have said something if that was
yeah,
so.
clearly it wasn't cheating. I think
Yeah,
using the word cheating here is not right. I think it's just like that's not what should have been allowed.
yeah,
I think that's more of what I'm talking about here. It's just like, clearly it was like later into town, I think, where people even started realizing that this
yeah.
was happening too. Um, so yeah, I would say Survivor, if you're listening, just have it be where you can't touch anything. Like you do this in challenge all the time. I think it just makes it an even challenge instead of someone
Well, I
being
mean,
able
to be
to.
fair, other people could have copied his strategy. Um,
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's the whole point of it is that you're constantly getting this like giant like ladder of a thing, and if you kind of do that, you actually like cut off like a part of the ladder that even matters.
yeah, because
Um,
like the thing about balance and stuff like that is like where you have the resting point and stuff. The challenge is basically like because we've all done it at some point, whether it's a kid or something. We try to balance something, and we all know that if you have like a big pole or something, you need like a wider range, a wider grip to have more control over the thing. That's just
Mhm.
how physics works. So yeah, um, who knows? Maybe there could be a rule made because of him. That's always fun. Where you
Yeah. Yeah,
he
game
didn't.
changer Ryan. He's coming back for Game Changers too.
We'll see. We'll see. Um, you never know. But yeah, I think the challenge was I did like the twist on it. I did like the volleyball thing.
Mhm.
I'm excited that 0-1. And I like the little James moment there. That was
Mhm.
like, hey, you're safe, Owen. You're safe.
Yeah, really tried to sell that one.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, the challenge was definitely interesting. Let's let me do the quick little confessional recap here before we get into our MVPs and LVPs.
yeah,
Um, okay, so still leading in confessionals is Cody with 36. It is still definitely a cool off compared to his like first 4 episodes.
yeah, yeah.
But he still got 3 from this last episode. Followed by Jesse at 32. And then we have a tie between Carla and Sammy for thirds.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and right now it is Noel and Ryan at the lowest confessionals at 16 each, and James is right behind or right in front with 17.
Where does Cassidy lie on this?
Cassidy is at 18.
All right. And to those who don't know, this is our draft board slash prediction.
Mhm.
Um, all right. And Owen, I'm guessing like he's maybe fifth or, well, not necessarily fourth
Yeah,
because two
he's
people.
got 21 confessionals, so that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's sixth.
Okay. Um, yeah. Let's go over this too, since we're here.
Okay.
So, uh, some fun little facts about our little predictions. Your top three have not been eliminated yet.
Yeah.
My top three, I only have one person remaining. The other two, one went pre-merge, the other just didn't make the jury. Other than that, I had two people in my bottom three go out. The one that's number 9, the absolute last person on my list, Gabler, is still here and is still going strong. And for you,
He's your most likely person to make it to the end. He's probably going to get you the most points.
I don't know. I feel Owen, he could be the underdog of this season.
Could be
Um,
is the big word there.
he could. Well, then again, all of it is could be until we
Yeah.
see the results. And on yours, it's definitely your middle, your middle three: Mariah Young, Ellie Scott, and Janine Zhang. All three of them are gone.
Yeah.
And then your bottom three, you just lost Justine. And your bottom three, you also have Sammy and Cody.
Which
So
are great competitor or like win equity right now for I think
yes,
both of them.
I agree. I agree. I am man enough to admit I will
Yeah.
still hold out hope, but I am
I,
big enough to
yeah.
admit that it's not looking pretty.
Yeah, I'd say on my team, the only person who I don't think's winning is James. I think the other 4 are like
Yeah,
possibly the top 4.
no, that's fair. But yeah. Also, overall of my winner picks, so there was a big debate on like who the top 5 I would choose. Two of them are no longer here, which is Dwight and NECA. And I'm glad I didn't choose one over the other because dang, that would have been terrible. Um, and then also, I mentioned this a little bit last when Ellie got eliminated.
Mhm.
But on 13 on my list, I put Janine. And on 11 on my list, I put Ellie. So it was kind of fun. I wouldn't say funny, but it is kind of ironic that in actual Survivor, it was flipped and those two were allies.
Yeah, another fun fact, Janine and Ellie end the season with the same amount of confessionals at 28
Oh,
confessionals.
besties.
Yeah, so they got their equal amount of screen time, even though Janine was here 2 episodes longer.
Okay. Uh, man, it is sad to see her go because I feel like she did have a big underdog edit.
Yeah. I was
And
expecting her to get like the Romeo edit almost of just being on the bottom. It seems like she should be going home, but somehow she just keeps like scraping by.
yeah, um, yeah, I mean, we'll see where things go because now they don't have their unlucky duck anymore. I'm so sorry, Janine. It's,
Yeah, it was a rough time for her, but
yeah,
at least she got to eat some good food now.
yeah,
I haven't seen the Ponderosa come out. I wonder if they are just stopping Ponderosa altogether.
that's rather unfortunate.
Yeah, that'd be definitely annoying.
Yeah, because I understand with controversy why they didn't do it last time, but like I don't know. I feel like sometimes Survivor's like, oh, we had one bad season with this thing. We're just not going to do it anymore. Kind of like with the Survivor auction.
Yeah.
But then again, I feel like Survivor is so like, or especially this kind of thing. One little thing I'll touch on is like, it was day 16 when this like majority of this episode happened.
Hmm.
We only have like next episode is like day 17 stuff. We only have 9 left. So there's not a lot of gameplay left, which is crazy to think about because technically speaking, we still have half the people left,
Yeah.
more than half.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, they're gonna have to get another double elimination in here somewhere from.
somewhere, yeah.
So I'm curious where that's happening.
Obviously, there's one next episode. It's a five
Unless they do
finale.
a, yeah, I was gonna say maybe they do a six finale.
Not against it. I guess like because it's 18 people and because the past few new school seasons have been a 5-person finale.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. And we didn't get like a double elimination episode pre-merge either, like we did in the past. So
Yeah.
it's tough to say. It's tough to say. Even this, I'll let you guys know. There's a party I know I'm going to. And it's a Survivor finale thing where Wendell Holland and Bryce from season 28 are hosting it, and there's a bunch of like Survivor contestants, Big Brother contestants, the Challenge, and
Mhm.
the Circle. Um,
Yeah, it looks like a stacked roster.
yeah, so I know I'm going to that. Joe is still kind of figuring it out.
I might.
He may encourage him. Uh, Francesca's going to be there. She's like a queen on our challenge,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
our
If we
channel.
can tell her that, hey, I know Survivor didn't pan out for you, but guess what?
You're iconic on our channel.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, like even then, they were like, "Hey, we're not quite sure. We think it's going to be the 14th, but you know, we're planning on the 14th. But if it's not, we might move this date a little bit."
Yeah, I noticed that it was kind of up in the air.
Yeah. Anywho, but yeah, so we don't really know when particularly this is going to end. I mean, they like ending it at like 12 episodes. Well, the finale being like the 12th episode, or I feel like so we'll see. We'll see.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, yeah, that's gonna be exciting. I hope it's a good one. I've never honestly gone to like a Survivor watch party.
And neither have I. So I'm like, it'll be a fun opportunity. You know, it's within, you know, it's close by. It's here in LA, so it's not like my commute is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. All right. I feel like for this one, I'm still a little bit tough to decide on the LVP and MVP of this. I want to hear your opinions first.
Okay,
Because I'm still like up in the air.
my MVP purely goes by just like control, I'd say, like just being able to know what's actually best for her game, and that's Carla.
That's
I'm
fair.
still giving the MVP to Carla. She like it would have been bad for her game specifically, for James. I mean, for Ryan to go home here.
Yeah.
And she's the one that basically put everything into a halt. Like, wait a second, this is not what we should be doing. Back to what we were talking about before. That just makes more sense for them. And yeah, Coco currently is the tribe with like the best
Most
like
people.
yeah, they're just in the driver's seat, that they have like the best positioning right now. Like, go ahead, like they have the ability to not have to target one of their people right now. They can easily
Yeah.
go to someone else. So, and yet again, I don't think people are looking at this as Carla's move, which is actually good in modern Survivor, to not have these moves at this early stage of the game be like the one that's like, oh man, they mastermind Janine's vote out.
Yeah.
So I think that she's every time that she's been able to, I just think she plays great.
No, she's definitely smart. I ran into one of my co-stars, for one thing that I'm doing. I found out on the very last day of initial filming for that part that she was in, that she was a big Survivor contestant. Big Survivor fan. Like, we were on the ride home, and I was like, "Wait, you like Survivor?" Because like it was like the week, like literally last year, where I kind of had to miss out because I was in a place where there wasn't really much internet, stuff like that. Couldn't really do the show. Um, and then like, wait, she was like, oh yeah, probably watch the latest episode of Survivor. I'm like, you watch Survivor? And I'm just figuring this out now. So like every time we meet up for like pickups or whatever, we've talked about Survivor. And like she's even saying like, yeah, she definitely thinks Carla's winning this season. She is by far, I feel, in the best position. She is a big sleeper threat. Because Carla's already getting it, and I feel she should. I feel like we need to just give justice to Jesse, because he made a big move last episode.
Yeah.
Where I wouldn't say this is. I feel like, yes, we're giving it to Carla, but we need to give the honorable mention to Jesse, who got an advantage and didn't tell anyone, and also eliminated the one person that would have told anyone to.
Yeah, I do want to take back how I felt last week, because last week I was actually pretty down on Jesse's move against Dwight, because it just didn't seem like it made any sense.
But now it makes the most sense.
Now it makes a lot of sense. So now I rescind my like low opinion of Jesse's move last week.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like we'll still give it to Gabler, but I feel like we have to like give credit to him because of the reveal of this one, and especially when the knowledge is power being a thing, and he's the only one that has his totally secret, not in just anyone else's hands, but like just secret. Yeah, we have to just give him that.
Yeah, exactly.
LVP, I don't want to give it to Ryan.
I am. I'll just say it's. I'm still giving it to Ryan here. I think he's got some like 3 or 4 LVPs for me at this point, but it's just like he keeps just showing just the worst gameplay that we've seen on Survivor in a very long time. So yeah.
I don't know. I'm still, because when I saw that in our community, um, I was thinking about it. Granted, I went to bed not too long after, but I was thinking about it, and it's like I may give this to Sammy, and here's the reason why. One, he did not manage to flip the vote, and he was talking really big about making a big move.
Yeah, but he also said that he wanted to make sure that the right people were on board with it. And once that happened, he had the wherewithal to not fight for it, which I think a lot of young players would have done and would have gone home for doing that.
I will
I
say, yes, I don't give this lightly, but I don't want to pick on Ryan because like he ended up doing a bad move that historically would lead to an elimination, but he didn't. But I will say, I feel long term wise, this could hurt Sammy because who did he go to do the flip? Carla.
Mhm.
Carla, as we know, is like the kingpin or like the man behind the curtain of the big wizard
Mhm.
and stuff. Like she's the one that's like truly calling all the shots. So like I feel like because he approached her about flipping, that's actually very dangerous and might cost him down the road.
That's so interesting because I think because he went to Carla, that was a good move.
I
I think
don't
that
know. I
I
feel
think that he because he ran it by her first, and really like tried to see like is this something that could work, and made sure that he was in like who is currently the power positions like Grace is like, Carla now is going to have a way more trust for Sammy. Carla, who's already in a great position, is now not going to be wanting to take Sammy out, which now has given Sammy a good position in this game as well. So I think even though he talked about making a big play, I don't think this episode was about making the big play. I think the tribal
all
council
right.
was like not important. I think it was all about everything else around the tribal council.
Okay, that's fair. I will. All right, I'll flip on that because you have convinced me, and I am not a closed-minded person. I will give it to Cassidy for being blinded and wanting to get Ryan anyway and going against the majority.
Yeah, well, I think
Um,
she voted Ryan out of principle because she didn't want to be part of the problem of voting out another
here's
girl.
here's the thing. Principal is cool and all, but at the end of the day, what's more important, principal or $1 million? I know what it's a game. It's a game, for and foremost, with like social interaction stuff. By the end of the day, this is a game.
Yeah.
It's like your vote, I'm not going to say doesn't matter at that point, but you're not going to create any waves. I
Yeah.
would say, like, because even by doing that, you still say, okay, I'm going to put pride over, what's strategic. And that might not be good investment moving forward.
Mhm. Yeah, well, we're definitely going to see Cassidy. She's not voting Carla or Noelle at all for the rest of the game, I'd say.
Yeah.
And if either of them get to the end, they have a guaranteed Cassidy votes.
Gotcha. Okay.
um, but I mean, overall, like I think, I don't know. I still don't think that next episode they're going to be like Cassie. I can't believe you voted for me. I think they're just going to be like, okay, whatever. Like she knew the votes. Like
Yeah.
I think it was just one of those cases of just like she just is going to say, hey, I see what's happened. I just couldn't be on board with it again.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like that kind of wraps it up for this episode. I am excited for next one. I love the double elimination where things are split. It's very chaotic. It's very fun, and it leaves us and
Mhm.
people at home like speculations. Like, all right, who's going to get eliminated? What happens if this and this and this? It's a lot of fun to think about.
Yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly. And then we'll see what also Survivor has after that because the do or die twist would typically happen at 7. I wonder if they're gonna implement a new twist to
I'd be,
replace it.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
I feel like obviously they learned, or like I don't know. I don't want to say they learned. I feel like they've taken the notes and have adjusted
Mhm.
accordingly. So I don't. I like the do or die. I understand how it's not very Survivor-y, but that's kind of the reason why I liked it, because it is kind of like Russian roulette. It's crazy.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I feel like we'll find out. That's a few episodes ahead. I do need to wrap this up because I do have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah. You
ready.
got to get heading out here.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. We will see you guys next week.
All right. Peace out.